What is up, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Gamesymaspod, the podcast where we talk about all things board games, video games, and pop culture. On today's episode, we are joined by Gaster. Thank you so much for joining us, my man. I'm excited to have you on here as we are going to be talking about the world of fighting video games. You know, you have your Street Fighters, your Mortal Kombats, your King of Fighters, whole world we can talk about, man. And so I'm very excited. Thank you so much for joining us on this podcast here. Guys, again, if you guys want to ask any questions to the podcast or give us any content you'd like us to cover, you can always find us on all socials. We're on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, X. You can find us there at Gamesymaspod. That is at Gamesymaspod. Or if you want to email us, that is at Gamesymaspod@gmail.com. That's Gamesymaspod@gmail.com. So, guys, with all that being said, pull up a chair, grab some dice, y acompáñame a jugar. Yes, sir. We got the icebreaker question that we ask on every podcast. It's a two-part question, and it gets us to know you a little bit more, just kind of your interests and your likes, and we can probably dive into conversation with that, and then we'll get to the meat of the podcast here. So here's a two-parter. Again, feel free if you feel like the first question is like, I'm not much experience, but the second question you are more experienced, or vice versa. Let us know. But the first question we ask here at Games and Must is, what is your favorite board game of all time? And when I say board game, I'm thinking of, I'm encompassing everything. So card games, dice games, party games, tabletop games, Monopoly, Risk, even deeper games you can think of. They could be childhood games. They could be games that you just played last week and you're like, this is my favorite game. It could be anything like that. And then the second question is your favorite video game of all time. Any video game you want. One that you've enjoyed through the ages as a kid, growing up, as now, any type of video game that you enjoy, as well as I can even include arcade games if you feel like you want to include like an arcade game that you've thoroughly enjoyed throughout the years and stuff like that. So, yeah, I'll let you take it away.
Sure thing. Well, thank you for having me today, Vic.
Of course, man. Yeah, of course.
So I guess if I were to say what my favorite board game of all time is, and I know this may sound boring to some of your listeners, but it's good old fashioned chess. Uh,
Chess.
yeah, I think
Ooh.
chess never gets old. Chess, it's a game where, for the most part, both players are on even footing ground. And if you lose at that game, it's because you got outskilled. It's just there's just
Yeah,
no two ways about it.
I
There's
agree.
very most board games, and don't get me wrong, I love games like Monopoly. I've played many card games like Yu-Gi-Oh. I
Mhm.
played Vanguard. I played so many different board games throughout the years.
Mhm.
I think at the end of the day, chess is the one where if you win, you did great. If you lose, you may have done great, but you got outplayed. You
Yeah,
know,
I agree. I agree. I love chess is the
yeah,
ultimate board game, man. That's the game that there's so many different ways to play that game, so many different strategies, so many different openings, different defenses. And I agree. Like if you lose, it's not because he got lucky because he rolled an extra die. No, it's like you
no,
lost
yeah,
because
they
yeah,
got you. They got
yeah,
you dead to rights, clean.
exactly. Yeah, you're done. You got checkmated and you're done. Sure, you made some errors along the way, but again, that's because you made some errors along the way. And so, like,
Right. It's. I think it's good. I think it's a game that holds you accountable. I know it sounds silly, but
no,
it's
no,
good.
no, yeah. No, I agree
Yeah.
with you. I love chess. I love to play chess. I can play chess any day of the week. My board game shelves. It's like I have to be in the mood for these board games that I want to play. But chess, I can play like if you pop it out, I'll play all day. Like I love that game. I love thinking. I mean, I play online with on chess.com.
As for video games, my answer may come off as a little cheesy. It's a little old school. My favorite video game of all time is Super Mario Brothers 3.
Really?
Uh,
Okay.
yeah, I know every single stage in that game, like the back of the palm of my hand or the front of the palm of my hand. I don't know how the saying goes, but
Yeah.
it's so I can plop that cartridge in. I can be having fun. It sounds weird, but that's one of those games where I can just have fun while playing it for the sake of having fun without
Mhm.
having to think so much about it because I've just played it so much.
Right.
And the game left such an impression since my childhood. I think it's one of those games where if you were to throw me into an island with an NES and Super Mario Bros. 3, I think things would be all right.
Yeah, it wouldn't be so bad. Your life would be great. Life would be
Yeah,
great. There's Super Mario.
things will be okay.
Is that
Um,
is that the one where they introduced like a co-op mode where like you can play with your friends, or was that the later entries?
I mean, it did have a two-player mode. There wasn't so much co-op. The game had like a competitive mode, believe it or not. In
Oh.
You could actually like choose go into the same stage that your friend had cleared,
Hmm.
and then it would switch to Super Mario Brothers, the original, which is kind of strange to say, but I don't know if you remember the old school Super Mario Brothers where you had like the little POW symbol that if you jumped on it, it would flip the turtles on the stage.
Yes,
It
yes.
it had a competition mode where the game would switch from Super Mario Brothers 3 into that. That's how impressive that game was at
Really?
the time.
Oh wow, that's
Yes.
pretty cool. They're bringing
Yeah.
it back old school. That's pretty nice.
I mean, old school bringing back even older school,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah.
You
Super old
know,
school too.
so
Yeah.
yeah, and if people haven't played it with a buddy, I would suggest they do. It's a ton of fun, dude.
Really interesting. Yeah. No, Super
Yeah.
Mario Bros. Is just fun in general when you play by yourself and with friends. Especially the later entries and stuff like that. Like, it's always fun when you have like a party with you playing with you, especially like Super Mario Party or like those other entries. Like, it's just fun. It's just chaos and it's so much fun. Like, and it gets very competitive. So we have it there, guys. So we have chess as your favorite board game to play. Great game, the ultimate board game to play. And then we have Super Mario Bros. 3 for the NES. But we will go ahead and get started with the podcast of the memes there, and dive into this world of fighting games, man. Like, I mean, we've covered on the podcast RPGs, we've covered co-op games, we still need to do single player games, but let's get into fighting games because fighting games has stood the test of time since forever. You've had since like the Street Fighter games, even beyond that, you've had a bunch of games, you've had tournaments played for these games, you've had competitions, you've had friendships broken because of this game, because of these type of games. Because I remember I've had tournaments with my cousins when I used to play the Dragon Ball games, the Budokai 3 games. We used to play. We used to go over to my grandparents' house and play, on tournaments. Choose your fighters, who you are, and we just have tournaments. See who can make it to the top of the martial arts tournament, and we'd always like hate each other because like, bro, you suck. You can't be using. And it's just so much fun, man. But tell me some experiences. Let's go with what's your all-time favorite fighting video game you like to play. It's your go-to. It's your bread and butter. This is your game. This is your go-to. You rock with this. Ain't no one beating you in this game unless they're like better than you. But this is like your main game that if they ask you like, hey, bro, what's the fighting game we should play? What are you throwing out there?
Uh, I guess of the modern fighting games, because I think that question can be separated into what you call the old school and modern fighting games.
Right.
It will be Guilty Gear Strive, which is a game that came out just about 2.5, 3 years ago right now.
Okay.
Um, I haven't been playing it as much this season, but it's still, one of my favorite games. I played at Evo for 2 years straight in a row. For those of your audience who may not know what Evo is, it's
Mhm.
like the world's biggest fighting game tournament. It
Okay.
takes place in Las Vegas every year,
Oh, nice.
and it attracts a couple of thousands of people every year. And I made it both years out of pools, which was a lot of fun.
Nice.
Just so for people to understand, the way pools works is in order to proceed in the tournament of Evo, it's so big that
Hmm.
you have to win a tournament to proceed in the tournament. Like
Tournament
if you're
for the
not in the
tournament.
top, if you're not first, second, or third place out of the tournament, you're out the first round. And it's kind of
Oh,
like you got to win a tournament so you can survive the next day two, so you can proceed.
got you. Okay.
Um, Guilty Gear Strive is a great game. I had a lot of fun on release. It's still great. I would say that that game, at least to me, uh, it has so much depth, and in the sense that the amount of things that you can do at a given time and the amount of options that you have on the table is what makes it really fun at all times.
Hmm.
As for me, just to let you know, I wasn't super big into fighting games up all the way until like 4 years ago.
Hmm.
The pandemic was a hell of a game changer.
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
I'm a frontline worker. Just without going into much details, but
Yeah.
it was a nice way to deal with the stress of the time.
Oh, for sure, for sure.
And things just evolved from there.
Right, exactly. Okay, so Guilty Gear, what was it? Guilty Gear
Strive.
Strive. Okay, so is there multiple Guilty Gear games that have come before that?
Yes, it's the fourth entry in the series.
Okay, okay,
And the game it goes as far back as the PlayStation 1. It's
okay.
just it's a little. I guess now it's becoming. It has started to get mainstream attention, but the game
Hmm.
was a little obscure up until recently.
Got
To
you.
be fair, it's a game that spans from the late '90s all the way till now.
Oh, okay, I see. And how would you say the complexity of this game is when it comes to like uh, the flow of the game, fighting of the game, of how combos are reached, are done? Kind of like, is it kind of like Street Fighters with the sweeps and you do heavy punch, or is it you have to do a couple combos that are complex, or is it a game that you're like, "Yeah, you can button mash this game and whatever? How would you say the complexity ranges from that of this game?
Yeah, I mean, it's one of it sounds crazy, but you know what? Like, what I will tell people, because I don't want people to be discouraged by my words.
Yeah.
I think anybody can pick it up. It's
Okay.
okay I want to say this to the audience and preface it by this. By the way, it's okay to be not great at fighting games when you begin.
Exactly.
Strive is an absurdly complex game.
Hmm.
In the sense that the amount of things that you can do at any given time, like if your opponent, like Strive is one of those games where if your opponent does something, you can react to something, and then that, like in most fighting games, that be it.
Hmm.
Strive has the ability of the opponent reacting to your reaction.
Oh crap! Yeah,
It is something absolutely insane.
yeah, definitely.
So it's very complex, but I think that's what makes it fun, because
Mm.
once you start playing fighting games for so many years, in a way certain things become predictable. Like, let's say if you know where you messed up in a certain portion in an interaction, you
Hmm.
know how you're gonna get punished, right?
Hmm.
With Strive, dude, you no matter how much you think you know how you're gonna get punished, your opponent can pull something completely out of their hat, and you're like,
Yeah.
wait,
What?
what the hell just happened?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
What
Like what?
what was that? Like,
Yeah. Oh my
so
goodness.
it's great. Like, that's, I guess, what the reason why I fell in love with that game, because the amount of nonsense that happens, it's fun, it's crazy, and
Hmm.
it's you know what, and it's a great spectator watch. I
Hmm.
suggest to your audience that even if they haven't played it, they give it a watch at high
Watch it.
level play. I
Hmm.
think they'll be amused with the amount of nonsense that takes place
Oh
in
my
that game.
goodness,
It's
that's
pretty
fun.
great.
Is this does it the graphics is like 3D kind of like around the world? Is it kind of like a score like Street Fighter is kind of, or
It's crazy that it's nice that you asked that, because
yeah.
it's 2.5D.
Hmm.
But the cool thing is, it has this very interesting thing that happens, that you see in most fighting games, when you throw an opponent into a corner,
Hmm.
that's kind of like just where the interaction, like, it takes place for the remainder of the round, or maybe they'll get out. But in Strive, the corners are like walls, so you can break them through the said wall, and you will see this amazing animation where the camera just switches, and
Uh-huh.
it show them getting blown out of like this area into a
Oh,
different area of the stage.
yeah.
It goes from 2.5D to like a lot of 3D moments. Like, it's kind
Okay.
of cool.
Interesting. That's pretty cool. So it has like a little cinematic, little mini movie moment when you get hit the wall, kind of like, and then it
Oh
goes
yeah,
back
and
to the game.
there's also moments where, like, let's say there's a movement called a dust, where you can catapult the opponent into the air.
Yeah.
Mini cinematic moment, camera switches, and then you go up, and then you can do your combo into the air. It's very interesting.
That's very cool. Okay, interesting. So, Guilty Gear Stripe. I've heard the titles before. I've never watched the game. You got me interested in watching. I'm about to start checking out some of the games and stuff like that of Guilty Gear Strive, which is interesting. Is there a game of like the older? You were talking about modern fighting games. Is there kind of the old school fighting games that you kind of like to lean to as well? You're in the mood of playing something like, you know what, I'm not in the mood to play some Guilty Gear. I'm probably gonna play something else for now. It doesn't have to be for tournament, but it's like a casual play fighting game that you like to lean towards more, that you like to play as well. If you have any of those.
Yes, I do. In this one's a little bit more obscure. I mean, look, I guess if I'm into playing something more casual, and again, I don't want the Street Fighter 2 community to murder me, because I think that's a very complicated game. I'm just a casual at Street Fighter 2.
Right.
So, but like, that game is an extremely complicated game,
Hmm.
where you'd be surprised the legendary players that still play it, that are gods at that game. Like, so
Uh-huh.
I just happen to enjoy it casually.
Got you.
And then there's also a game that I prefer from the old school game. It's called in Japan, it's called Pocket Fighter. Here it's
Hmm.
called Super Gem Fighter. It's not very common,
Okay.
but it's like pretty much like the Street Fighter characters in chibi form. that game is a lot of fun. It's pretty hilarious. Like if you ever like YouTube it, or your audience should YouTube it, it's an old school
Yeah.
game. It's funny as hell. I suggest people give it a go. That's also a fun game.
Mhm.
It's a lot more relaxed than Strive. Funny enough, it's kind of like the opposite of Strive, where Strive is this very overly complex game for the sake of being interesting.
Mhm.
Pocket Fighter is very simple. The combos are very short,
Mhm.
but interestingly enough, there's complexity and simplicity. I know it sounds kind of like contradictory,
Right,
but
right.
fighting games can have that ability where even the simplest interactions can have a depth of complexity.
Really? Yeah, right, right.
Yeah, so that's also, I think, why that game rings a bell with me, and like strikes a chord, so to speak.
Yeah, yeah.
It's fun stuff. I
Definitely.
suggest your audience give it a look on YouTube. I
For
think they'd
sure.
be surprised.
Definitely, yeah. Guys that are listening, all these titles that we're throwing out, if you've never heard of them, go check them out. I mean, we're not throwing out some games that you might think like, oh, this is weird. Like these are probably some interesting games that would be cool to check out, especially if you're looking to get like into like fighting games, or like you need new fighting games. Just like Gaster said, if you want to get to fighting games, don't expect to be like the top pro on your first match. Like just enjoy it, get to know the game, figure out the combos, figure out who your favorite character you can roll with, what you can do with, and then just have some fun with it, And then if you want to get good, start practicing. Like it's just like any other video game, any other sport, any other type of skill that you want to learn. You have to practice. You have to get used to. You have to learn. You have to fail a couple times to figure it out. I learned that a lot with Street Fighter. Whenever I play Street Fighter, and I would beat like my casual friends, I'm like, yeah, bro, I'm so good. And I'd fight someone that's like actually play Street Fighter, and then I just get humbled in like 2 seconds where I don't even land a hit. And I'm like, oh wow, like yeah, I suck. And they're like, it's okay, bro. Like you did good there, and like that sympathy, like you did okay there. I'm like, stop mocking me, bro. Like I suck. With Strife, you said that you did a couple tournaments in Vegas. How did you how does one get into like just even the tournament before the tournament? How do you get? Do you have to look for like local events for you, or do you have to like kind of rank up on
So
the rankings?
no. So the way it works, right? Evo is just one massive tournament,
Hmm.
but they have what they call as day one pools,
Hmm.
which is a tournament in itself. So whenever you register, you're assigned to your pool to begin with.
Okay, okay.
And then if you're top three, you proceed to the next day. So think it's,
Oh,
it's funny, right? You just went through hell the first day, especially for beginners or intermediates,
yeah.
just to be like, congrats, kid. Your reward is now you're gonna be from this pool of sharks to this pool of piranhas. You know what I mean?
Oh
Like
my goodness, yeah.
it's a very neck break pace sort of thing. But
Mhm.
there's also like local tournaments. There's also online tournaments. I do encourage people like that are beginning into fighting games, whether it's Strive or anything else.
Mhm.
Uh, there's a website called start.gg.
Mhm.
Um, and you can go there and you can find local tournaments that are happening near you or online.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and it's a good spot because no matter what the fighting game you play,
Mhm.
you can go there and see what's going on.
Oh, okay, so you don't need to have like prerequisites of like what level are you on the Street Fighter
So
leaderboard?
that depends up to the tournament organizer. There are some tournaments, but the reality is because it's a worldwide, it's kind of like a worldwide search engine for tournaments. It's crazy.
Oh
So
wow.
like you can go there and be like, you know what? I'm a beginner. I have no idea what I'm doing. Chances are somebody is holding a tournament there
Mhm.
for people that are complete newbies. And trust me,
Oh, okay.
there's something amazing. Even if two players are not at the greatest level, if it's two beginners, it's fun. Fighting games have that whenever you match somebody that's the same level as you, it can be a hell of a lot of fun.
Yeah,
You
exactly.
know,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, so there are ways to join these tournaments, and again, there's tournaments online all the time that are there. There's tournaments that are free that all the time that are there, and they
Mhm.
also sometimes have tournaments that say, come to your local city at X, Y, and Z place in the U.S.
Oh,
and you
okay.
can go there, and they'll tell
Yeah.
you like entries like $10 or something, and you go
Mhm.
and you just have fun.
Okay, guys that are listening or watching the video, I will leave a link on that for that website in the description below. Click on that link and leave a comment below of your experience of these tournaments. If you've gone to any of these tournaments, let us know what your experiences are, what game you've played, how did it go, and stuff like that. I'd love to read all those comments, and maybe we could share some of those comments on our next episodes that we have coming up here on the podcast here. Gaster, Scott was telling me about your Discord channel. You have the Team JPV. You wanna guide me through that Team JPV? Are you trying to get an esports community going here? Trying to get a team going here, stuff like that, or
That
for fighting?
that is so funny. No, I mean it's a group of friends.
Okay.
And it was a group of friends that got. I just call it a team because they're my homies. I love them to
Yeah.
death.
Yeah.
But it's funny. It was like a merry band of idiots that just banded together, and we're just having fun.
Right.
It's not only about fighting games. We play all sorts of JPV stands. It's funny. There's some people in the community that have been wondering like, what does JPV stand? It just means just play video games.
Nice.
So we just play all sorts of video games. We didn't meet all at least the vast majority of fellas in there met through fighting games,
Mm-hmm.
And it's crazy. We have some players there that are some of the best,
Mm-hmm.
and they're just like your regular guy.
Yeah.
Alex Smith, shout outs to him. He's in that Discord. Like anybody that's part of the fighting game community, they know who this guy is.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody knows him.
Mm-hmm.
From legends, big time legendary players. You say Alex, oh yeah, Alex, how's he doing? It's
Yeah.
crazy. This guy's been playing for the last 16 years or so.
Oh,
more.
wow.
I'm lying. It's probably 20 years at this point.
Really?
Yeah, so everybody knows who the heck he is,
Yeah.
And then you have and it's funny again, you just meet these guys. I met him playing online a different game, his bread and butter is Street Fighter.
Okay.
He's probably one of the best jury players in the United States right now for Street
Really?
Fighter 6.
Oh,
yeah.
Snap! Oh snap! I gotta watch him play.
Oh, he's wild. He's really good. He's really fun to watch too.
Mhm.
And I just met him playing Granblue Fantasy Versus, which is another fighting game. A few years, we just started talking and we became friends.
Yeah.
And then you have things such as Skankin. I have a friend, and this name's gonna sound absolutely wild to your audience. He goes by Skankin Garbage. The funny part, he's one of my mentors. He taught me how to play fighting games, at least at a competitive level. And funny enough, this guy sounds like a regular, your regular average guy, nice sense of humor. But believe it or not, at one point he was the United States Vampire Savior Champion, which is Darkstalkers. I don't know if your audience may know what Darkstalkers is, but it's like this kind of fighting game where the characters have this monster aesthetic. There's a werewolf guy, there's a vampire dude, there's a mummy dude.
Okay.
But the I guess my point with him is that I just met him playing a regular fighting game, and I remember one day I just ran him into a cab online, because there's this virtual cabs in Granblue at the time. And he beat the living hell out of me in that game. And I just asked him, hey, you got any tips? And I remember, dude, the dude was more than happy to be oh yeah, dude, here's what's going on. Here's what you should be doing against my character. Here are the weakness of your character. Here's what you need to knock off because I'm exploiting it. And here's the thing, right? What people don't know is people can be very good at fighting games. And this is for your audience to know, especially this is something that I think that's good info to have. People can be very good at fighting games. It's not the same as teaching people how to be good at fighting games. It's two different skill sets. Okay. I'm not gonna say names. There was one time a friend of mine was with another person at a tournament somewhere, and we're in the middle of a tournament, and I would just in the middle of the rounds, I would tell him hey, you're fighting this guy. Do this thing called cycling your options, which what that means is it's whenever you have an opponent in the corner, you got to do something to make him stop just blocking. Because if you're just blocking, eventually it will become their turn, and then they can punish you back.
Right.
But they can also and there's certain games where you can do certain different things on offense, and you want to cycle it, meaning that you don't want to do the same thing, because if you as a player are just punching, what's the answer? You just block, and you wait till that there's an opening, and then you get them back at it.
Right. Yeah.
So that's what I told him. And then there was another one that another friend of his that's very good. Again, not gonna say names. Very good player. And he's well, yeah, you should just stop doing stupid shit. And it's what kind of advice is that?
Yeah.
I'm not knocking him, but I'm just saying it's you see what? And he's very good at fighting games.
Right.
that's the degree of which he could explain what
Yeah,
was going
right,
on.
right.
So and again, I'm not good at explaining fighting games, mind you. I'm basic, but this guy skanking garbage. In real life, he's a teacher, dog. So like,
Oh,
he knows how like, the human brain works for that sort of stuff, and he'll tell you
yeah,
he will break things apart into like little bits,
yeah,
and like he'll turn it into small short lessons. It's really funny. But shout outs to him. He's a very talented guy. He's crazy, but
definitely.
he's a very talented guy.
Yeah, it's cool like how you met all these people through the fighting community, through the games, and I'm pretty sure a lot of the members there are um go to tournaments. I'm pretty sure they go to tournaments regularly and play tournaments and have won tournaments and have done a lot of things and are skilled fighters and stuff like that, which is really cool. Which is interesting to see how anyone could anyone like I said one that guy that you mentioned, yeah, he's a teacher, but he's also like one of the most skilled fighters that you've met and stuff like that. And so it's crazy how everyone comes from all different walks of life and it's not like I was born to just be an e-star sport, esports player. Then it's like that's all I do in my life. And every day I wake up and I play games. It's like bro, I wake up, I go to my 9 to 5, and then I go home and I start and I play. What would you say here? We could troll a little bit with some of these games. What do you think is a game that is like the most broken game to play that's fighting wise game where it's like this game is garbage when you play it, like you could just spam like the X button and like use whatever you like. What's the game that's like don't play this game if you want to get competitive because you can just troll on this game? Like what would you say it's like one of those games that you feel like
Oh my god, you're gonna get me crucified, bro, because here's the thing, right? Like there will never be objective agreement in the fighting game community as to what the Japanese have a term for that sort of game, believe it or not.
really?
They call it kusoge, which means shit game. Hopefully you don't mind the swearing, but
No, you're
like
good. You're good.
so like it's a known thing. They're like, oh, this is a kusoge. Like that's for them to be like, this game is so garbage. What
Nice.
is this shit?
Yeah, yeah,
But it's
yeah.
so bad it's good for them sometimes.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
It's funny because nowadays, oh man, what would be a great example of that? It's like, look, and again, because there's some very godlike players that play these games, so I am not about to detract from them.
Right, right.
There are some games that can be garbage and they can still be treasured as all-time favorites.
Right.
Believe it or not, what's it called? Super Street Fighter 2. There's a version specifically that people still play to this day. But if you click on YouTube, there's a compilation called Super Street Fighter 2 is a broken game.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing is, it will show you how outdated Super Street Fighter 2 is, just as an example.
Right.
Like, dude, and trust me, if I go in that game, I will get murdered like this.
Right,
But
right.
but you see, it like at a competitive level, these games are so fucked up. Like,
Yeah, yeah.
because it's like some of these games, unless you do something so out of left field, it will never be your turn against a good player. So
Right.
like I think those to me are the games that are like, what the fuck am I doing here?
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
because like modern games are a lot more like give and take. Like,
Mhm.
you do your thing, but at a certain point, it's like that's it. But you can no longer do another hit in this combo. I can now respond to you, right?
Right, right.
In old school games, that wasn't so much the mentality. See, what people
Mhm.
don't realize is that fighting games back in the day weren't made with like, oh yeah, we're gonna make tournaments in mind. A lot of fighting games started with the mentality of like, hey, you know what? We're gonna throw these characters. You can play with your buddies, and for a weekend, have fun. You
Just
guys
go
can hate on
crazy.
each other, and you're done. You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
But from there, still like these flourishing tournament scenes.
Yeah, yeah.
And things like have evolved. Now you have these, and now like developers are under pressure to have some sort of balance in their games. You know what I
Right,
mean?
right, right. Exactly.
Although there are some modern games, and for example, Skankin again. He's probably gonna want to kill me. There is one modern game that I think that loves that mentality, where like I tell him I don't want to play this game because this game's a fucking nuclear arms race in terms of BS.
Yeah.
There's a game called DNF Duel. Now I'm
Mhm.
not gonna knock it. If you want to try it in your audience, please go ahead. Now
Mhm.
I'm just gonna tell you, dude, that game cracked me up because he's one of the best fighter game players that I know.
Right.
And that game has only two modes. There's no in between. Either you feel like you're a god, you're on top of the world, or you want to strangle your controller and slam it into the ground. Because, dude, that game has some of the most like ridiculous comebacks I've seen in history. To the point
Really?
where I'm like, my god, that's BS. Like,
Yeah.
dude, like that game will like invite the fact of like, let's say you've had a perfect round, you beaten the hell out of your opponent, you still have a full life bar, they
Yeah.
only
Yeah.
have like this sliver of life left, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And then they get one punch in, and then
Uh.
your life is like, brrrr, they won, GG, shake my hand. I'm like, bro, what is this?
Yeah. Oh my god.
And Skankin loves that. Like he does love that sort of shit going on in fighting
Yeah.
games. To
Yeah.
me, that's a little bit too much.
Yeah.
But it,
Interesting.
that's definitely some game. There's definitely some games like that.
Yeah.
And by
Well.
the way, sorry, and I will say, I know I said earlier, Super Street Fighter. No, that then it's Street Fighter ST.
Actually,
Again, if you YouTube it, you will find it. Until you're honest, you
interesting.
find it.
Okay.
It's like the tournament edition of like a specific tournament edition of Street Fighter that's still used to this day.
Oh. Okay.
For Street Fighter 2. But again, that game's also a nuclear arms race. You'd be surprised at the amount of nonsense that the old school Street Fighter could do.
Interesting. What do you think the what was that Japanese word you said about the crap games? It was
They call it kusoge, which means like
Kusoge.
translates probably to like shit game.
Okay.
And again, to them, it can mean one of two things. It can mean whether a game is so bad it's good. Because
Yeah.
dude, there's games that are like that are so bad. You and your
Yeah.
buddies are laughing at the shit with it, and you're just having fun.
Yeah.
And you know what? At the end of the day, like I have friends like there's some games that you can play and they're so nonsense, but like
Yeah.
you know what, I'll tell people there's an online fighting game you can play for free right now, and
Mhm.
actually shout outs to the developers because it's a lot of fun. To me, that game is nonsense, but it's great. It's called Tough Love Arena. If they
Mhm.
Google it, they can literally go and play it right now through their browser, and it's a full-fledged fighting game.
Oh,
It
really?
Yes, and literally you're playing as like characterizations of supermarket groceries, like a lemon versus something else, and like and here's the thing though, it is fun, it is
Uh-huh.
great, you play it all through your browser. It is so dumb and out of left field, but I'm pretty sure if two people play it, their friends will be just laughing their butts off. It's great.
Interesting. Yeah. What's the game called again one more time?
It's called Tough Love Arena, and like
Tough
most of the
Love.
stages are supermarket stages. Please give it a
Yeah.
look. Yeah, I think
I'll
you won't be
definitely look
disappointed.
for sure. Yeah, I'll leave a link on the below for that one for anyone that wants to try out that game too. I'm gonna probably try out that game maybe today or someday. Definitely, that's funny, dude. What do you think the on for that for the these type of crap games that are so good they're bad, they're bad they're so good or they're just crap games? Where do you think the Mortal Kombat and the Injustice games land on that scale?
Oh man. So what I will tell people is, okay, that's an interesting one because there's a lot to unpack there, believe it or
Yeah,
not.
yeah, yeah, definitely. Because
Um,
I've had fights in Injustice where the guy just spammed the whole thing, and I was like, dude, this game's broken. Like, I hate this game. This game's trash.
so here's the thing, right? I believe NetherRealm has had a hand in those games.
Okay.
Same guys that make your Mortal Kombats.
Hmm.
Um, and those like Mortal Kombat games tend to have some things that will just piss you off.
Oh yeah,
Like
dude. Oh my gosh.
I'm just gonna say Mortal Kombat games aren't exactly known for being these paragons of balance. I'm just letting you know
Yeah, no, for
they're
sure.
very nonsense. You will see them. You will see some wanky animations at high level where you're being juggled into the air for like 4 times straight, and you're like, okay, like
Yeah,
I
you can't even do anything about it. You're like, all right, well, whatever,
like,
bro.
okay, I guess you won, homie. Like, you know what I mean? GG's, I'll shake your hand.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
And so I don't. The funny part is it's one of those things where like I don't think they are like, for example, those are definitely not games for me. Like I would just get like, oh god, really? Like, okay,
Yeah,
I guess I
yeah,
guess
yeah.
you won, homie.
Like, all right, I'm gonna go
But
up
for
to
some
another
people,
game.
yeah, but there's some people that I guess the competitiveness lies into who gets there first. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
Who
okay,
gets
okay.
to pull who gets to pull this first on their opponent? You know what I
Right,
mean?
right, right.
And of course, there's a back and forth. It's like there's no such thing as one touch. I mean, there are some things such as one touch kills in fighting games, but in modern games, it's not so much a thing.
Hmm.
But it is very frustrating to be juggled for the fourth or fifth time, and you just see your life bar like what happened? You know what I
Yeah, yeah,
mean? Like,
exactly. Yeah, yeah.
and the Injustice games give themselves a lot into that, and so do the Mortal Kombat games. So, like,
Yeah.
to be fair, funny enough, that speaking of NetherRealm games, I don't know if you know this, and again, I hope I don't get shot. The Mortal Kombat community is known for being one of the most angriest communities online, bro.
Really?
If you ever want to have fun,
Uh-huh.
enable your headset and play Mortal Kombat 1 online. you will get called every insult under the sun, and you will find out about new insults you didn't even know existed. It's
Really?
amazing.
Oh
Yeah.
my goodness! More than the Call of Duty lobby?
Oh no, Call of Duty ain't got shit on these guys, bro. Like Call of Duty will be not. Dude, I remember one guy. After I won a set,
Uh-huh.
he waited on the rematch screen because you gotta and he literally like told me everything that was wrong with me, everything about how I should like die and end my own
Oh
existence.
my
He actually
goodness!
went into full detail how I should end my existence. It's not only like a straight up,
Yeah,
end yourself, right? No,
yeah.
you should
You
do
went to like
this,
a
you should
pair.
do that. Yeah, and he on the mic, and I'm like, I'm just laughing, dog. I'm like, all right, that's time.
Oh
But
my
you'd be
gosh!
surprised, dude. The MK community. I don't know why. You know why I think it is. The game by itself can be frustrating. Like the
Mhm.
game can lend itself to frustration. And the thing is, Mortal Kombat also likes one of the more mainstream games. So like
Right,
it has these bigger audiences, so you
right.
will get some people that are absolutely like out of left field, like, wow, dude, like, god
Yeah,
dang, dude, do
yeah,
you need a hug? You know what I mean?
yeah, yeah. Who hurt you, my
You'd be
man? Like,
surprised.
yeah, you're taking out your anger
Yeah,
on
who
me over
hurt you?
here.
Like,
This is like their
straight
therapy
up,
right
man.
here, or something like that. Or that's
Yeah,
crazy. Okay,
for
yes, I did not know that. I didn't know that the Mortal Kombat community is could be very toxic and very angry. And yeah,
they
so
can be. And and again, though, don't let again to your audience, don't let it discourage you. There's tools like if you're not a type of look, I'm the type of person that unless if I'm playing fighting games with my friends,
mhm.
I don't want to hear it. And so
Right.
what I do is, and again, like Mortal Kombat has tools where you can disable the audio, their voice audio. So
Mhm.
you just go in there, you play, you either beat them up or they beat you up, and you hit rematch or you go
Yeah.
next, and they
Mhm.
can be yelling about everything. You will not hear anything. You can proceed with your life.
And keep
You
going.
know,
Yeah,
uh,
I got you.
yeah. I only do VC and fighting games with my friends, my closest friends, because
Right.
like I know that like the nonsense comes from like the heart in the joking manner. It doesn't come for real. You know what I mean?
Right. Exactly. Exactly. Interesting. Okay. Interesting. So there you guys have it, folks. If you're into these fighting games, and you can always mute. There's always the mute button. There's always the turn off the audio and just have some fun. Have some fun playing. Get competitive if you want to get competitive, and if not, just play for fun and keep mashing that X and A button if you want, or whatever. You can do whatever you want and stuff like that. Playing these. That's the beauty of these fighting games, is that you can have fun, you can get competitive, you can make memories, you can yell, throw your controller, do whatever you want. It's your prerogative, but these games are there for your entertainment, to have some fun and stuff like that. And it's really interesting hearing about the community of fighting games, of that type of games that you have, the tournaments that you can enter. I've always heard about to be honest, the most tournaments I've ever heard of within fighting games were probably just Street Fighter games, maybe some more combat games. I didn't know about the Evo, it was called Evo, or the
Evo, by the
Evo.
way, so Evo's biggest event is
Mhm.
Street Fighter by and large. So they will always have
Okay.
a Street Fighter 6 event every year now.
Okay, got you.
But they also have Mortal Kombat, and they have every other major fighting game under the sun. It's really great, by the way. Like what I would say is it happens here in the United States around August.
Okay.
And as a matter of fact, there's two Evos, one in Japan and one here in the US.
Do they ever have like the Japan, like the winner of a Japan like Street Fighter Evo tournament? Do they ever verse like the United States Evo tournament, and then kind of like a big event for that, or is it kind of just
The community takes care of itself in that sense. Trust me, you will see like the Japanese, like whoever won the Japanese Evo tournament, they will probably travel here for Vegas in August, and
Mhm.
you will see those two guys go at it at one point or another.
Got
And
you?
if anything else, maybe not in a big manner, they might just be sitting in the corner duking it out in a computer or a setup
Mhm.
playing there. And if you want to see, that's the beauty about fighting games. Even the best fighting game players play fighting games just like you and me. They might just play it on a table where nobody else cares. You can just stick your neck and see what they're doing. You know
Yeah,
what
I
I
see
mean?
what's going on. That's pretty cool. That's pretty fun. Stuff like
Yeah.
that. Oh man, that's awesome, man. Well, we'll go ahead and wrap it up here. I don't want to take up too much more of your time, my man. You got a busy schedule probably going on and stuff like that. But I wanted to know if you wanted to plug in anything that you want to plug in, or if you want to plug in any friends, any Twitch accounts, any Discord stuff you want to do, or any stuff that's coming up for you, any work that you want people to check out for yourselves or for your friends within the Discord community. If you want to go ahead and shout that out now, and also I'll put links in the description below.
Sure. Yeah, yeah. I have nothing to plug, but I do want to. I guess I do want to leave your audience with just a little bit. One a little bit of food for thought.
Yeah, definitely.
Uh, if you want to get into fighting games, or if you ever had the itch to play any fighting games, go for it. Honestly, just go for it. Like, my only advice for people is two things. Number one, don't forget that it's always about having fun. I cannot account the number of people that get into fighting games and lose sight of that. It's
Yeah.
at the end of the day, it's just video games, my
Yeah.
guy.
Exactly.
But please, if you want to choose to fall in love with fighting games, I'm telling you, it's super worth it. It's a lot of fun. You'd be surprised at the friends you'll make along the way. And the other thing is, just remember, um, you will not get good if you really want to become really good at fighting games. It doesn't happen in a day.
Yeah.
I have friends that are really good now. They've been playing their whole lives in order to get to where they're at right now. So and like no, and the one thing that people forget about fighting games, you shouldn't look at it as a competition against others. You should look at it as competition against yourself, because the one that's improving every day is you, and you shouldn't hold your progress to other people's skill set. You just the one that's getting better is you, not others.
Right.
And that's what fighting games are all about. And I think that just for your audience to know, if you want to get into any fighting games, just pick one to love and give it a shot. I don't think you'll be disappointed.
Yeah, wise words, guys. Those are some wise words from Gaster. Yeah, again, it's all about fun. And if you want to get good, practice. Again, like I said towards the beginning of the podcast, it's just like any other skill. If you're learning guitar, if you're learning drums, if you're learning an instrument or a sport, you're not gonna be the best player within a night. It's gonna take years of practice, times of practice. I mean, if you're just there for fun, gotta have some fun. Have some fun. Get a little bit good. Gotta keep playing. Have some fun. Play with friends. But if you're trying to get into the competitive mode, if anyone that's listening that's trying to get good and get hit up these tournaments, practice, man. Don't get frustrated if you are in like a 14 game losing streak online or whatever. Like just keep learning. Keep learning. Again, just what Gaster said. You're competing. You're in a competition with yourself. You're trying to get better every day. And yeah, you couldn't have put it any better, man, with that stuff like that. And thank you so much for sharing that. For sharing those words of wisdom, and sharing your experiences with fighting community and games. I'm pretty sure, if you share this episode with you guys on Discord, they're gonna get a laugh of the stuff that we've talked about, have some fun. And guys, like I said, we're not bashing on any of these games. We're just kind of he's given his experiences of what he's gone through with his gaming community, and his observation of these communities and stuff like that. Not to say these games are bad, but there are some games that are, they level up higher and stuff like that. So Street Fighter community, more Kombat community, guys, we love you guys. You guys are awesome. Don't come out our throats. We're just.
By the way, MK1 community, the game is fun. Don't kill me. I just know that there's some angry guys in that audience. That's all, some angry boys in there.
Yeah, definitely, yeah, man. Yeah. So yeah, guys, thank you guys. Thank you so much, man, for joining us. It was so much fun talking to you. We'll definitely have you back on. We'll talk about some more video games that you want to talk about, other than street fighting games that you'd like to give your opinion on. I'm trying to have a panel on a podcast with a couple of us. We'll probably have Scott and maybe Omar and you and some other gamers, where we just do some angry rants, where we just talk about some games that we just want to get off our chest, of like why and stuff like that. And just for fun, just have some fun.
Sign me up, dude.
I got you. I'll let you know for that one. I think it'll be a fun episode to do. But again, thank you so much for joining us, man. Thank you guys for listening and for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Hit that share button, guys. It means so much that our channel is growing. Our subscribers are growing. Don't forget to subscribe. And I love seeing your comments, the nice ones. And I love hearing your thoughts of our episodes. I'm very excited for the future of more episodes. And thank you so much for watching, guys. Y nos vemos para la próxima.